Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 24th of May, comes to you from London. We start by looking at currencies, then stock markets, commodities, and last of all, some US tech stocks. So we start with the dollar index, and we see it's just trying to recover a little bit here this morning. We're just coming back to try and get through the cloud, but the downside target is still very much in place, and the medium-term chart is bearish. The longer-term chart is bullish, so we are just seeing here that we are just testing support at the moment. So it'll be very interesting to see whether we can hold this long-term bullish trend. Looking at the euro is just doing the reverse. It's just coming through the cloud. We're not quite through at the moment, so we're still finding support. We do have this upside target of 118 on the euro, so that is significant. But we still do also have these long-term downside targets hanging over us. So short-term bullish, but the long term is still just bearish. The medium term is bullish. So are we making a transition, or will we find long-term resistance has its way? We'll have to watch that play out over the coming weeks. The Japanese yen we see here. Dollar just strengthening here, so we are through the cloud here. So weaker yen, stronger dollar. So dollar has taken its lead on this chart. So we are just seeing some short-term strength in the dollar. Looking at sterling, sterling just going through the cloud to a weaker position. So the long-term resistance just having a little bit of an effect here, back below 130, and just really now nudging this 129.50 level. Looking at the euro sterling chart, sterling is actually recovering just slightly against the euro, so weaker euro today. But interestingly, we are just seeing that sterling's strength against the euro is not as clear as other currencies, and against the Swiss franc we're seeing that as well. Below the clouds bearish, and we've got some downside targets. Australian dollar, we're below the cloud in the short term, and again some downside targets. Looking at the S&P 500 index, we're now back to near this 2400 level, 2398 at the moment, back above the clouds in the short term. So we are just seeing bullish, bullish, bullish. So this market's still looking pretty good. Nasdaq also back above the cloud. Last week's high yet to be taken out, but we are just seeing a bullish picture on all three charts. And the Dow we're seeing again through the cloud, so that's also looking bullish. So Russell 2000 not quite through yet, so the broader market's still suffering a little bit. The futures down very, very slightly, down less than 0.1% on the S&P 500 future, and the Nasdaq E-mini we're seeing is actually just very slightly 0.02, so virtually unchanged. So no heads up on the opening at the moment. The FTSE 100 index, bullish above the cloud on all three time frames. We are just struggling to get through last week's high, so that's quite key, but it is looking like a very bullish chart on the long and medium term charts. FTSE 250 also continuing to power ahead, and we did break last week's high, so this is showing significant strength. The DAX not quite through the cloud on the short-term chart yet, but the long and medium-term charts still look bullish. The Nikkei is holding its bullishness, and we have a new upside target here, back to above 20,000, 1.71%. So that's quite key. We can break through that 20,000 level. That will be significantly important for Tokyo, and that would take us to new 2-year highs. So that would be very significant. Hang Seng bullish on all three time frames, looking strong. The Shanghai market just struggling here, and interestingly we're coming back to test this low we saw a couple of weeks ago. So main thing is, can we break through there? The Sensex is looking bullish, so the Indian market's still looking pretty good on all three time frames, and the S&P Australian index is just still struggling in the short term to get back above the cloud. Brent crude is just coming into sentiment on the OPEC meeting and comments from Trump overnight, but the interesting thing is that the crude price is still just managing to push higher. So awaiting the OPEC announcement. Key thing is, will it be enough to get through this April high of about 56.50 on Brent. So still some work to do to get through there. And WTI, much the same picture, of course, and we just have these upside targets. Nasdaq, the natural gas market we're just seeing here, back below the 330 level, back in the 320s, really just stuck in the 320s for quite some time. So that's quite key. Just really struggling to break out there. Looking at some other commodities, sugar down very significantly. So we're still just bearish in the medium term. Short term, just testing below here. The long-term chart, maybe we're finding some support. Going straight to gold. Gold just breaking down through the short term, giving us some downward pressure on the short term, and so that's quite key. We're struggling to just hold that short-term uptrend. We could go either way. We've got upside and downside targets. 3.5 upside, 2.7% downside. Neither of these targets activated. Waiting for direction on gold. Interestingly, we've got real resistance here. Can we break that? That's going to be the key. And silver is still holding its bullishness in the short term, but the medium-term chart is not so good. US Treasury yield sitting at 2.28%, so that's on the 10-year. We are just bullish there in the short term. Looking at Apple, still bullish. Google, again, still bullish. This chart looking very good. Amazon just powering ahead as well. Facebook, not above the cloud at the moment, but the medium and long-term charts still look good. And the same goes for Microsoft, looking good there as well. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.